Good morning, folks. Sealer here. Today is Thursday, November 19th. Wargaming has announced on the development blog some balance changes to a handful of ships. These changes are going into public testing in update 0911 with the intention of making them available in the update once it does go live. So again, everything on the blog is technically subject to change, although I've personally found that by the time Wargaming announces a balance change on the blog, things are pretty well firmed up. So starting at the top, the Tier 10 Soviet destroyer Khabarovsk and the Japanese gunboat destroyer Harugumo are both being buffed. They will no longer receive full penetrating damage from large caliber AP or SAP shells. That means 280 millimeters or larger. So many of you will remember that a couple of years ago, Wargaming introduced a change to destroyers so that they would not receive full penetrating damage from large caliber AP. The damage would be capped at 10%, the maximum damage of each shell, so effectively treating everything as an overpen. The Khabarovsk and the Harugumo, however, did not receive that benefit, and now they will. So I think clearly that the Harugumo or Harugumo players, I should say, will welcome this change. But honestly, I think the primary beneficiary or the intended beneficiary of this change is the Khabarovsk. She has fallen significantly out of favor. The Kleber has clearly taken over as the top tier go fast and pew pew destroyer in the game recently, and we just don't see the Khabarovsk played very often. So I'm assuming or thinking that Wargaming's part of the reason they're making this change is to rejuvenate some interest in playing that ship. So for you Khabarovsk fans, or at least historical Khabarovsk fans, maybe this will give you some motivation to dust her off and take her out once these changes go in. The next update is to the Tech Tree Tier 8 Royal Navy carrier HMS Implacable. She is receiving a third buff in the last few months to her HE bomb performance. So her bomb alpha is being increased from 5100 to 5300, and the fire chance is being increased from 29 to 30%. So like I said, this is the third change Wargaming has made to the Implacable's bombs in the last, well, certainly 6 months, probably more recent than that. So Wargaming is clearly trying to improve the performance of this ship relative to her peers. So for those of you who like playing the Implacable, I'm sure this is a welcome change. Speaking of potentially welcome changes, the next update is to the Tech Tree Tier 8 U.S. Navy battleship USS Kansas. Boy, this thing has not received much love since she was released. She is getting a modest buff. Her Sigma is going to be improved from 1.5 to 1.6. So this will make her a little less shotgunny. I expect that some players will welcome this. Others will be somewhat cynical because she still, I don't know, is going to have the performance characteristics that players would really like to see in her. The U.S. Navy battleships, or the new ones, were sort of billed as, yes, they're relatively slow. Yes, they have long reloads, but they have these big broadsides that can deliver these big hits. And the Kansas, I expect most people feel, and I certainly didn't feel when I played her, that she really delivered on that very well. I personally would like to see the Sigma improved further. I can live with the fact that the ship is relatively slow and she has a longer reload if I knew that I had the accuracy to deliver on the damage, right? And I can see that if that is the intended playstyle, that's fine. But, you know, maybe give the Kansas the same accuracy benefit of, let's say, like the North Carolina. So she has more shells than the North Carolina, but she has the longer reload, but she gets commensurate, accuracy. So just kind of my opinion on this. I do think this is moving her in the right direction, so I think that's good. But I don't know that it's going to win over enough players to say, yes, this is a big enough change, to make her, really more interesting and more desirable to play. But we'll see. All right, last but not least is to the Tier 9 Japanese gunboat destroyer Kitakaze. She is being nerfed. Her concealment is being increased. Her base concealment from 7.56 to 7.76 kilometers. This will increase her best concealment from 5.9 to 6.1 kilometers. Obviously, other detectability ranges like firing from within smoke and aerial detection will be increased accordingly. So this is probably a reflection that this ship is performing very well, and I do know that the Kitakaze is very popular. In fact, some players prefer the Kitakaze over the Harugumo because she has better maneuverability, and she, at least historically, has had better concealment. And so she is a very light ship in the game. So Wargaming's obviously looked at the data and feels that she is somewhat overperforming for her tier. So in any case, those are the updates from the development blog. I hope everybody here found the information interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I suspect I know where some of these are going to be coming from, especially for the Kansas, the Kitakaze, and the Khabarovsk. But as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.